What's up guys? My name is Jake. Welcome to our brand new show, Cancelled. There's always been topics that I've wanted to use on Abandoned but just haven't fit the show properly. So this is the show where we'll look into some of the television shows, products, and everything else that were eventually cancelled. I would like to warn everyone, there will be spoilers in this video. Back in 2011, a television show premiered named Terra Nova. Even though I knew it had major flaws,
Go away, spider, go, go, go.
I did appreciate its sense of scale, charm, and ambition. However, following its last episode of season 1, the show was announced that it was going to be cancelled. So why was Fox's new flagship show cancelled after only one season? Well, the show started back in 2010 when the Fox network announced they would be producing a dramatic sci-fi show called Terra Nova, with Alex Graves signing on to direct the pilot episode. As development continued, Steven Spielberg signed on to executive produce the show, and the filming locations were set in Australia. The show took place in the year 2149, and followed the Shannon family as they struggled to live on a dying planet. Scientists found a way to transport humans 85 million years into the past, and in doing so a colony was created called Terra Nova, a second chance for the human race. Other plotlines drove characters into doing things, dinosaurs are hungry, and there's an evil faction in the past. It starred Jason O'Mara, Shelley Kahn, Christine Adams, Landon Liberon, Naomi Scott, Alana Mansour, and Stephen Lang. There is also a rather large list of reoccurring supporting characters. Really, most of the cast was relatively unknown except for Stephen Lang, who is best known for his antagonist role in James Cameron's Avatar. Fox ordered 13 episodes to make up the first season with a budget of around $4 million per episode. The show was created by Kelly Marcel and Craig Silverstein. Filming for the 2-hour pilot episode began in late November of 2010 and took over 26 days to shoot. Once the footage was shot, it would then sit in post-production for a longer period of time due to the immense amount of special effects needed. Internal production problems began as following the filming of the pilot, the majority of the writing team was laid off and replaced. Following this, the production of episodes 3 to 13 began shooting. By early 2011, promos began to be run on Fox, showing their new upcoming sci-fi action thriller, premiering in May. However, due to the elongated post-production of the pilots, the show was pushed back to a September premiere with a weekly release every Monday night on Fox. As the network continued to push and hype the new upcoming show, people were really getting excited for this show, including myself. And on September 26, 2011, the pilot episode for the series premiered to an audience of over 9.2 million people. The public and critical reception for the show was kinda mixed. Matthew Gilbert of the Boston Globe, I think, summed it up by saying, "Spielberg 101, mainstream, iconic, inoffensively predictable." Overall, I think the pilot did its job on catching the interest of many, as the following episode brought back nearly 95% of the audience the pilot earned, with an audience of around 8.7 million people. As the show continued to air, ratings did slump as low as 6 million people, and the season wrapped up by December 19th with a pretty spectacular season finale. And then there was silence. The show's termination was in sight. So why was Terra Nova cancelled after only one season? Well, there were a few reasons that really just all came together, which ultimately brought it down. The first and probably most compelling for the network to drop the series was just the sheer cost the show took to produce. Production troubles began while shooting in Australia, with constant setbacks and long days of filming. Even though it was pretty clear that these would amount to dollars lost, producers to the show claimed that the show was still on budget. However, the pilot itself claimed to cost Fox around $10 to $20 million to make. An average episode was to be priced at around $4 million an episode, which is really high. The ratings the show brought in were good, however the series didn't bring in the audience and wide fan base comparable to Lost's, like the show's producers were hoping it would. Fox also has a bit of a history of being very trigger happy with canceling shows, and their new flagship show that the network was hoping on didn't exactly pan out the way they wanted to. So as the season finale aired on December 19, 2011, Fox announced that a season renewal would be up in the air and that any announcements of a second season wouldn't come until 2012. As the new year rolled into February and with no announcements, things were not looking good for the show. And inevitably, on March 6, 2012, Fox announced that Terra Nova had been officially canceled. Kevin Riley, the president of entertainment at Fox, said in a statement that Terra Nova was considered to be a success for everyone involved, and with all parties making profit on the show. Despite this, it just seems as though the network had decided that a season 2 would just be too risky of a decision for the company. And with the cancellation news, there was a massive saddening reaction from the fanbase, and even the cast and crew publicly displayed themselves as disappointed and anxious to push for another season. Soon after, it was publicly made that the producers were on board with Fox putting the show up for sale for other networks to continue the series. However, because the show is just so expensive to produce and the audience numbers would probably be skewed due to a possible network shift, the idea of another company swooping in and taking over production, especially at that budget, were kind of slim. However, Netflix began to show interest in taking over the series and producing a second season. To keep production costs down, the set would be moved to Hawaii and shoot domestically in the United States instead of shooting in Australia. Rumors swirled around the Sci-Fi network possibly taking over, however Netflix seemed to be the only solid company who would be willing to put in the money to continue the show. By late March of 2012, Netflix had decided to turn down the possible season 2 of Terra Nova, and quietly the cast and crew of the show began acquiring other jobs. At this point, the hope for Terra Nova to return was mostly now over. It was clear now that the show will just never see a season 2. However, Fox did release the entire season on DVD, along with a special motion comic that kinda continued the story, in September of 2012. Since the show left on a bit of a cliffhanger, the motion comic was created to give fans some closure. However, by 2013, Fox had stopped selling their DVD on their store, and the DVD with motion comic is relatively hard to find now. So what about the set itself? Well, the show set up its main production set in Queensland, Australia. Interior scenes that didn't need to be outdoors were filmed on sound stages in the same city. The main set structures sat vacant and abandoned up until May of 2012. By September of the same year, the majority of the set had been demolished. However, some utility buildings sat on the land all the way up until 2014. As of late 2016 though, all that remains is the existing roads on the set, some small utility structures, and the concrete center base just in front of the main gate. Terra Nova absolutely could have been a feature-length motion picture, and what the producers brought to the table was pretty good. The network just didn't feel confident enough to produce a second season, and towards the end of the first, the producers had laid out the outlines of what they wanted to do for the second. The idea was that a new threat would face the colony from a highly intelligent dinosaur, and most of the criticism from the audience from the first season said that the dinosaurs didn't play a big enough role, so having them essentially as the main antagonist would have been exactly what many wanted. Terra Nova was just a show that had a short-lived run, and whether you loved it or hated it, there's no denying its ambition and sheer size. Whether it was successful at doing so, I'll leave up to you. Thanks for watching the pilot episode of this brand new show. Let me know what you think of it and other topics that you would like to see me cover. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and thank you very much for watching. I keep forgetting this guy's name. How do you say it, computer?
Liboiron.
God damn it.